Well, thank you everyone for joining us as we go over information about our English as an Additional Language program at MacEwan University's School of Continuing Education. My name is Terry Robinson, and we also have Kimberly Tavares here with us, and we are both advisors at the school. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can pop them into the chat, and then there will be time at the end, and then we can answer all of your questions. Or at the end of the presentation, we could also, I could unmic you if you wanted to ask your question like that. All right. So MacEwan University is the second largest university in Edmonton. We have almost 13,000 full-time students with an average age of 22. At the School of Continuing Education, we pride ourselves in our student experience and instruction. The School of Con Ed has moved to the newest building, Allard Hall, or Building 11. This was built in 2017 with brand new classrooms and technology. In this new building, there are student use meeting rooms, formal and informal study spaces, computer common areas, student printing, public transit options, and increased access to student services and clubs. MacEwan University has a variety of support systems and services in place to help students through their academic journey. The Career and Experience Center offers guidance and advice and hosts events and extracurricular activities to help students navigate their career options. Students can access free professional counseling through MacEwan's Wellness and Psychological Services, which also hosts wellness-related workshops. MacEwan's Access and Disability Resources can be accessed by students to improve accessibility and remove barriers in the learning environment. And we also have our own University Health Center, where students can access physical and mental health care services. So the EAL program, English as an Additional Language, is open to domestic and international students. The EAL program offers a full range of English skill building courses to build your English language proficiency to meet prerequisites for academic, personal, and professional goals. Students will require a very high level of English language proficiency to be successful in MacEwan's degree and diploma programs. And some programs, like nursing, for example, require an even higher level of language proficiency from their students. University programs are competitive, fast-paced, and classes blend both international and domestic students, so it's important to have a high level of English in order to be successful. In the EAL program, students have the opportunity to be immersed in a university-level environment with instructors that have experience with adult education. Not all pathways look the same for all students, but students need to improve their English language skills and then improve their academic skills like math or science before moving into a degree or diploma program. Many of our students go on to pursue their post-secondary education at MacEwan, but also at the University of Alberta, NAIT, and elsewhere. We encourage you to look at your goal programs, for example, whether it's a business program or a nursing program, so that you know what those language requirements and academic requirements are that you will need for that program. Your pathway will depend on your previous education and your current English language levels, and each stage is intended to support you to move forward. All students have to meet an English language proficiency requirement to be accepted into our EAL program. Some students, you may have already completed a language test done through Catholic Social Services called the Canadian Language Benchmark Test, or CLB. You will have to submit these CLB scores when you apply to our program, and you have to have a 5 in at least 3 of the categories, with no skill under 4. So for example, if you have a 4 in one area, but everything else is a 5 or higher, that is okay. Some other students might be completing a LINK program, maybe at Norquest or One World, One Center or somewhere else. If you are finishing up LINK Level 5 and you have your LINK 5 certificate, that's what you need to be accepted into our program. We also are accepting the IELTS academic overall score of 4.0. and no skill under 3.5. And we're also temporarily accepting the Duolingo English test. Just due to COVID, this could change in future terms, but for now, the minimum score of 55 on the Duolingo would be accepted. Once you apply to our program and you submit your language proficiency level, whether that's your CLB scores or your LINC certificate, that's how you will be placed into our classes. So we have 5 levels in our EAL program, and each level we offer courses in reading and writing, listening and speaking, and we also have courses that focus on specific skill areas. So for example, pronunciation or grammar. Each level takes 1 term to complete, which is about 4 months. And we have 3 terms per year. So we have the fall term, which is the one happening right now. We have the winter term, which is coming up in January, and then we have a spring-summer term as well. So if a student is completing all 5 levels in our EAL program, it will take about 1.5 years to complete everything. Students that want to attend full-time will take 3 courses every term. So they'll take a reading and writing course, a listening and speaking course, and then they'll take a focused course, whether that's vocabulary or grammar or whatever skill that you want to really focus on. As I mentioned previously, we do have 5 levels in our EAL program, and students that successfully complete the 5th level, that's our highest level, that will meet the English language proficiency requirement of most degree and diploma programs at MacEwan. We are planning on in-person classes in the winter term. So since COVID began, all of our classes have been online, and they are currently online right now in the fall term. But we are planning on returning to in-person classes for the winter term. And this is just an example of what a schedule might look like for a student that's taking 3 classes. All of our classes are during the day, and they are every day, Monday to Friday. So for example, you might take a speaking and listening class. That would be from 9:30 to about 11. And then after that, you'd have your focused class from 11 to 12:30 approximately. And then after that, you'd have your reading and writing class. So the classes are back to back during the day. There is a 10-minute break in between each one, and then that gives you enough time to get to your next class. MacEwan has recently announced that all staff and students are required to be fully vaccinated in order to come to campus. So our winter classes are all scheduled in person. So if you want to attend our EAL program in the winter term, you must be able to provide proof of vaccination. This can be in the form of government-issued vaccination card plus ID, or you can use the Safe at MacEwan app to upload your documents. We definitely recommend that you visit MacEwan.ca/coronavirus for more detailed information, and then any future information as it becomes available, that's where it's going to be posted. There is financial assistance available for students in the EAL program. This is called Learner Income Support Funding. You might have heard of it referred to as Alberta Works Funding. This is grant funding from the government, which means if you are approved for it, you don't have to pay it back. It's not the same as a student loan where you have to pay it back when you're done. A grant means that you don't have to pay it back. There are certain eligibility criteria, so it's not guaranteed that all EAL students are eligible. It will depend on whether you're an international or a domestic student, and on your financial situation. So for example, your expenses and your resources and savings, and if you have childcare expenses, all that financial information that you provide in your application form, that's what determines whether you are eligible for funding or not. You can visit the Learner Income Support website for more detailed information and to see the specific eligibility criteria. And if you are approved for funding, This will cover the cost of tuition, fees, books, and supplies, and then possibly there would be an amount for living expenses as well. You must be accepted into the EAL program and registered in classes before you can submit your application for funding. And the reason for this is because there is a specific form, a supporting document called the Training Provider Information Form, or TPI. You need this supporting document to send in with your funding application. And MacEwan needs to provide you with this supporting document. And we won't provide this document to you until you are a student in our program and registered in classes. So you have to apply to the EAL program. You have to be accepted to the EAL program. You have to be registered in the proper classes, and then we'll give you the TPI so that you can submit that with your funding application. Once you send everything into the government, you will have to wait for up to 10 weeks to know if you have been approved. So it's really important to get your funding application in as soon as possible, which means you have to apply to the EAL program as soon as possible, just so you can start the whole process. If you are approved for funding and you are a funded student, you do have to be attending your classes regularly, or your funding could be canceled. You also have to be doing well in your classes, or your funding might not continue in future terms. So these are the current tuition and fees for domestic students. And in addition to the tuition amounts that you see here in the table, students also pay term fees, which include things like sports and wellness fee, students association fees, and a technology fee. These fees are approximately $500 per term. So a student taking 3 courses can expect to pay about $2,700 per term. So this is why funding through learner income support is so important, because tuition and fees, it's very expensive and it's difficult for students to pay this amount every term. But if you're approved for funding, then these costs would be covered. So when you're ready to apply, you can visit our website at MacEwan.ca/EAL and select admissions in the left drop-down menu. Here you can also double check the admission requirements and also confirm dates and deadlines and other important information. All applications to our EAL program are completed right through our website. So if you click Apply Now at the bottom of the page, you can start the application process. And just be aware that there is an application fee of $110. After you submit your application to the program, you will be sent instructions for how to log into your MacEwan student portal so that you can track the status of your application. These instructions will be emailed to your personal email address, but after that, all information is going to be sent to your new MacEwan email account. So it's very important that you know how to access your MacEwan email and your student portal so that you can get all of this information and then you can track the status of your application. Once you're accepted into the program, someone from our program office will contact you to let you know which courses you can register in. Those courses will match your English language levels that you submitted with your application. And then after that's done, we'll give you the information that you need if you're going to be applying for government funding. Again, we suggest applying to the EAL program as early as possible so that you have time to apply for funding, because it can take up to 10 weeks to process that funding application. And you want to make sure you have everything in place by the time classes start. So these are some important dates for the winter term. The application deadline to the EAL program is December 15th. For students who are applying for funding, November 30th, this is the very last day we will be providing that training provider information form. So if you are applying for funding, you do need to be accepted into the program before November 30th so that you can obtain that training provider information form. And just be aware, if you're waiting right until November 30th to apply for funding, again, depending on how long it takes for your application to be processed, you might not get a decision by the time classes start on January 5th. So as I mentioned before, just applying early for the program and for funding is really important, just to make sure everything is ready on time. So we have a dedicated team to help all of our EAL students. This includes a program assistant, Rosemary, and myself and Kimberly were the advisors in this school. And we do have a chair of the program, and his name is Richard. So our office, we are located on the 5th floor of Allard Hall. Our office, it is open, but we have reduced staff there right now, just due to COVID. So phone or email is best at the moment. You can phone us at 780-497-4000, or you can email us at EAL@MacEwan.ca. And we do want to hear from you, so please, contact us. If you're phoning us and you get a voicemail, just leave a message and we will phone you back. And same with email. We're really quick to answer those emails. So we want to hear from you. Please reach out to us. All right, so that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and we do have lots of time for questions. So you can either...
there are a couple questions already, so I'll answer them just live, because sometimes that's a little bit better. But if anybody does have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you could raise your hand and you can ask it directly. But the first question was, will there be any online options for the winter term? And at this time, no, there won't be. If the world goes back to normal somewhat, the plan is to have all of the classes in person for the winter term. So no, there will not be, hopefully, fingers crossed, no online classes. And so the second question here is asking, I think, about funding. Am I eligible if I'm not IE? Does that mean EI? That's how I'm going to answer it. And if I'm not right, then maybe let me know. So we don't determine eligibility for funding. That is determined by the government. So they do have those requirements on the Learner Income Support website. So there's a few eligibility criteria, but yes, students are eligible if they're not on EI. Potentially, it's just an individual situation. So if I didn't answer that, feel free to let me know.
We did put up the website there for Learner Income Support. It's quite a long web address, but if you just go into Google and search Learner Income Support, the website that pops up first, that's the website that will show you all the eligibility criteria. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Okay. So thank you for your time. What we'll do is we can send out, the recording to everybody that attended today. And then if you do think of something, 5 minutes after the presentation is over, just send us an email or give us a call. We'll be glad to answer everything. Like I said, we want to hear from you. So just contact us. And thank you so much for your time today. Okay, take care. Have a good day, everyone.